So only on CBS this morning, the 61st annual Grammy Award nominees were announced, including, of course, Best New Artist.
That's right. Categories like Best New Artist. Yeah. And joining us is host and creative director for Beats on One on Apple Music, Zane Lowe. Good to see you. How are you?
Good, thanks.
And 2018 Best New Artist Grammy winner, Alessia Cara. What's up?
Hi.
What's going on?
Nothing much. Just chilling in this lovely space.
I know. This is our space. Why is it intimidating?
Yeah.
You perform in front of thousands of people.
I know, but this is weird because I feel like I have to report some like serious news right now.
I know.
Cool.
You're actually.
Just in.
Yeah, right?
Well,
you could pretend. You just look right at that camera and
look
say,
at
like,
you two. No taking over.
Okay.
We both need this paycheck, okay? So stop trying to
out of a job
us.
so quickly.
Not in your paycheck. That's cool.
Literally, Jerry will just like shoo us off the set and have you guys here. All right, wait. So you won Best New Artist of the Year last year.
I did.
What was that moment like for you?
Man, I don't know. It's one of those things that you like dream about for so long that when it actually happens, it feels like it's not happening. And even like the fact that I'm here and that I announced the Best New Artist category today, and like people always announce me like that, like, oh, Grammy Award winning. It doesn't feel real. I know that sounds very cliche, but it feels like just not real. It's very strange.
We saw you guys talking over in the other studio because we were watching, and they asked you questions about sort of your most recent album and all the work that you put into it, and then you put a lot of yourself into it.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about just what it's like to be rewarded for exposing yourself,
especially
in that
Out
way?
of Love? I love that song.
Thank you.
Oh man, like it's so
much.
emotional. It's like, where does that come from?
Well, that song in particular, I actually wrote about a friend of mine who was going through a breakup and basically asked me to write that song. But like 99% of the album is actually from my own perspective, with the exception of that song, of course. But we've all kind of been in that position anyway. But yeah, I mean, a lot happened in the last 3 years of my life. Not only, of course, with my career, my whole lifestyle has changed, and that comes with many feelings, but even just, going from being a teenager to an adult, there's just so many emotions and different experiences within that facet of life as well. So this album has been pretty much a collection of all of those things.
That's cool. That's very, very cool.
So what was the most surprising thing about the nominees that you saw this morning?
Probably No Ariana was surprising.
Yeah, you said that. You said that.
And now I've had a little minute to unpick it. Of course, you're going to start putting artists in that you would have liked to have seen get a nod because we're all fans of music.
Sure.
Of course, yeah.
So I think in hindsight now I can be honest with you. Personally, no J. Cole, and I'm not sure why that is. Maybe that's him.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not. Such an incredible year for hip hop in general. Mickey, some amazing albums, amazing artists did. But I was on stage in Australia presenting an awards show, album of the year with a friend of mine, and we gave our respects to all the nominees, and then I sort of made a quip just off the top of my head, which was like, prize givings are cruel, and they kind of are. Like for every sort of triumph, and there's also kind of like there's a letdown to some degree in that environment for people who work hard. But listen, I think most musicians or any artist, this is really the icing on the cake. I think you make music because you have to and you want to and you love to, referring back to what Alessia was saying about where the songs come from. Yeah. And I think ultimately this is just a confidence game. When you get a nod like this, it's great, thank you. And ultimately, I think artists like this because they get to share it with the wider team, whether that's friends, family, co-writers, producers, anybody who's helped them along the way. This is really a celebration for them. But I think the true joy is the artist gets to make the music.
Right.
Do you think the timing of when a song is released has any impact on it? Because we were sort of, as we were watching the list, and we saw Childish Gambino, and This
I
Is
was
America.
like, I'm like, oh, this is win, and then you're like,
and then,
it's
but
a little.
but I remember when that dropped in the video, we talked about it a lot in the news. It seemed like such a big deal, and then when I saw it come up on the list, I was like, oh yeah.
We were like, record of the year, wasn't it last year?
But because things move so fast.
Right.
Yeah, and 2018 kind of was a long year, I think, for everybody.
Yeah.
So it's probably
Ain't that the truth?
So record of the year, the nominees are I Like It, Cardi B, Bad Bunny, The Joke, Randy Carlisle, This Is America, Childish Gambino, God's Plan, Drake, I love Drake, Shallow, Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper, All the Stars, Kendrick Lamar and SZA, Rockstar, Post Malone, and The Middle. Gail and I do every year, we do this like, what do we think should win? Who do we think should win? And like, she has her opinions and I have mine. What's yours on that?
Oh, man.
Yeah, I know. Putting you on the spot.
Now, are you serious? Are you serious?
Yes, I want to know.
That's really tough. I mean, what should win? I mean, I think it's a split probably between Childish Gambino and Drake, I think would be the two that I would bank on for that, for record of the year.
What about you? What do you think?
I actually agree.
You do?
Yeah, maybe I'm biased because Drake is from the same place as I am. No, but I really agree.
Newsflash, also
There's a lot of
Emery's
undercover Canadians here. Shawn Mendes,
our
too,
audience knows. I'm always sort of like
Kiwis
joking
in the house. We're a Commonwealth crew right here.
It's true. Commonwealth crew. I like that.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what?
Spreading the
So what does that mean?
Sounds like the name of an album, if you ask me.
So for the first time, I'm in the minority here
Yes.
on this desk. Like I'm
Yes.
surrounded by Commonwealth crew. Let me ask you, because you were the best new artist. So here are the best new artist nominees for this year: Chloe and Halle, Luke Combs, Greta Van Fleet, Her, Dua Lipa, Margot Price, Reba Rexa, and Yorha Smith. Is that how I say it? Like
BB Rexa.
Georgia Smith
Smith.
and BB Rexa.
yeah, BB. So who do you like?
I mean, I like all of them, but I'm a super huge fan of her. I think she's such an incredible musician, and
Yeah.
she deserves every bit of recognition she gets. But there's so many amazing people.
I think her getting recognized in multiple categories. Obviously, for us, it's great because Greta Van Fleet, Her. There are multiple artists that we support on our Up Next program, so we're like, oh, good, thank goodness for that. But I mean, I think Her, and I think also Dua Lipa. I think Dua Lipa has been one of the most exciting breakout pop stars.
Jerry, our stage director, was like, Her. That's gonna win. Her. And I'm like, okay.
Well, also to see her get nominated in Album of the Year at such an early stage in her career is a huge look as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Alessia, I want to ask you a question though. When you get a nomination like Best New Artist, I can't imagine the pressure afterwards.
Right.
Because that's
yeah.
sort of what they work their entire career to win this sort of award. And then it's like, well, what's your next act going to be?
Yeah, of course. And there's also like a weird thing around particularly the Best New Artist category, which is like the first side of politics, which is like, are they new? Are they not new? Are they eligible? Are they not?
Yeah, it's
and
true.
then the other side is like the Best New Artist curse, which I don't understand.
Because it's the only award that you do get nominated for and ultimately
There's, like,
win at the
technicalities, yeah.
beginning of your career.
Right,
Like,
right.
You made a good point. Everybody works up to that Album of the Year. If you're lucky, you get an early nod, but a lot of people get them on album 2, 3,
Way
4,
later,
5.
yeah.
There is a guarantee that every nominee in that category this year is at the start of something. And so that's a lot of pressure and a lot of expectation on artists at that point, even if it's a good thing.
So, Zane, I want to ask you a question as creative director and host of Beats One on Apple. I interviewed Tom Morello, and I think I was telling you about this. I interviewed Tom Morello, and we
Good to see you, man. How are you?
exactly how
How easy is that guy?
Yeah, he's so intense. I actually also interviewed him a couple of months ago during the Republican convention when he was playing with those guys. But what we always talk about is how when we were growing up, we loved all genres of music, like because part of it is because we're biracial, and so we thought like we could love Kiss, but we could also love the Jackson 5, and we were in a group of people that were like, if you like the Jackson 5, that means you like one style of music, and if you like Kiss, that's a completely different thing, right? And if you like Dolly Parton, don't come around here anymore. And I wonder, like, what have you seen as influential genre? Are you seeing like a sort of a mix where there's not, I know the categories exist, but is it really country? Is it really hip hop? Is it really pop? Like, are you seeing sort of a blending of genres, or do you still think that they're segmented like that?
I think it's both. I think genres are always going to matter to people of a certain time at a certain time in their life. You like to wear a T-shirt and support an artist, and that leads you to another artist and another artist. But what we're seeing more now is a broader level of creativity amongst the artists themselves. I think that you're seeing an artist like Casey Musgraves make a very modern country record, which incorporates vocoder and programming and all kinds of like disco beats. It's crazy. And I think the way that playlists work now as well, we're looking at a different kind of context with music. It's not just in the context of how Alessia wants her album to sit, which is the most important thing, but then people will pick their favorite songs and distribute them and be creative with the way that they're listening to them.
Right.
Put them next to different things. So often people will discover Alessia by hearing her song next to something that could be a completely different genre because it's a mood playlist, or it's something that involves numerology, or a summer holiday playlist. It doesn't really matter whether Alessia is next to, a rap artist, a country artist, a heavy metal artist. If that's what I want to listen to on holiday and I'm going to discover Alessia that way, that's good. So you're seeing a lot. It's far more adaptable and far more broad, but let's not deny it. If you're a kid right now and you're a hip hop fan, then you're a hip hop fan.
Yeah, right. But Alessia, you don't make your music like that, do you?
No, but she's nodding, and so I'm really curious. Do you think of genre when you're writing?
Not when I'm writing particularly, but I do. I think I just have a place where like my voice naturally sits, where the way that I write, I like. But then I have like a song like Here that was crossing over to all different genres, different radio stations, and then I can have a song like, on my album like Out of Love or A Little More that's like singer-songwriter. It's. I think it's a reflection of what I listen to, and like you said, I think we're just exposed to so much music now where maybe people weren't necessarily exposed to it back in the day, where they couldn't really even realize that they liked a certain genre of music.
Right.
Where nowadays you have access to everything, so people are just probably more inclined to listen to
what's
whatever.
that one artist that you always wanted to listen to but you never had the funds to go into a record store and actually invest, or your friends said to you, you should go and listen to them, but you're like, I don't have time, I'm too busy being a fan of this or that.
And it was an investment
Now
back
you
then to
can.
go in and purchase.
Completely.
That's right.
Yeah,
Nowadays,
it was a
right.
risk.
Let me look them up.
Yes.
Now you're
You
like,
like
oh,
it.
that's right, I forgot, I
let me
always
look it
wanted to
up.
listen to
Yes,
this.
that's a great point about how the music is much more accessible than it was when we were growing up, when we were kids, and you're like, I only got $15. and I gotta really,
It is
really
the best
buy
time
this
ever
Led Zeppelin
to
album.
be a
Yeah, like
music
what are you
fan.
gonna choose?
That's
Right,
great.
It is
yeah.
the best time ever to be a music fan.
Yeah,
That's cool.
Thank you guys
Yeah.
so much for coming by. It
Yeah.
was so great meeting you. Thank you so much for sharing your insights. We're really happy that you were here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Happy
you.
to be here.
So if you guys want to see the whole list,
Yes.
right? You can head to cbsnews.com/Grammys. Right now, you can see the full list of Grammy nominees. The 61st
It's the
Grammy
61st time.
Awards will air
I was
Sunday,
there for the very
February
first one.
10th.
She totally
I don't know
believes me.
why. I don't even know why
I'm
he
so
said
depressed
that.
now.
I was joking.
Why would you crack a joke about that?
Well,
though?
because like I always say, I'm like so old, and people are like, "Yes, you are."
Yeah, he's looking good. He's looking good. Good skincare
I'm not
routine.
fishing for compliments.
Okay, listen, I need to tell everybody when they can actually watch this. The Grammy Awards will air Sunday, February 10th, right here on CBS. So be sure to listen to all of the nominees and the official Grammy playlist only on Apple Music.